Previously on the Frontier Farmer. Spring has sprung, and we now have some rather useful silos and tanks. So we'll hitch up, head on back, and hopefully it's going to be a nice fast stone collecting job. Well, stone the crows. I think we have finished. Right, let's get this all covered in the white stuff. New field all limed up. And then it's straight on to grabbing the muck spreader so we can get some manure spread. But that is new field, all drilled with oats. Now I do have some plans for field 3 and 4. Instead of drilling, we are going to be looking to purchase a planter. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Frontier Farmer at the Dark Forest. We're now in April, and good news, our oats have germinated and sprouted, which is fantastic, and they are in New Field, which we coined the name for last time, and thanks to some of the comments, we are going to keep this field called New Field, and as the homestead progresses and we get another field, ironically, this won't be the new field anymore, but such is the nature of farms. They always get quirky names, and new field it will remain. Now, we were busy working on this last month, and it meant that we were slightly behind getting field 3 and 4 planted, but we did manage to get it limed. So we are going to have to manure spread to catch up, and the plan was we were going to plant some crops in here. And because we're now in April, I think the two crops we're going to be planting are sugar beets and corn. Probably the other way around. I think we'll do sugar beets in field 4 because it's a bit smaller, and corn in field number 3 because it's a little bit bigger. But that means we are going to need a planter. So I think I'm going to jump in the farm because I've been in touch with the distribution centre and they have a planter that is going to be a perfect fit for starting out. Get fired up and we can detach the mixing wagon. We are all out of TMR, so I'm going to have to do a fresh batch to keep the cows happy. But yes, it is our planting debut. We haven't planted any crops yet, so we're going to be starting off small. And yes, we've got an interesting one that is going to be able to be ran by our lovely farmer. So it's a little bit back to small and basics for now, but yes, if planting is successful and the crop harvests are successful, we'll probably look to upgrade the planter in the next seasons. Sun is shining bright as we approach the distribution centre. Looks like we're in for a cloudy but sun scraping through kind of April. So another thing that the distribution centre did mention is, they have taken away the old forestry machine, and that has gone to a expert who is going to take a look at it and see if they can fix it up or scrap it. But for the time being, they have sent over this Liebherr 902, and they've said we are free to use it if we wish to, and next time we have a forestry project, we could look to utilise it and see how it performs. But yes, we haven't got any of that work to do soon. So that is very interesting, and I wonder if we will get to use it on the next project or not. But that all depends on whether the other forestry machine gets repaired or is only good for scrap. Back to planters, and I think you'll agree that this International Harvester Cyclo Air 800 is going to be a perfect planter for starting out. It can take 1,150 litres, and I think it takes seed and fertiliser, so it can obviously do the planting and fertilise as we go. And I think it can also sort of plant directly, so we don't need to have cultivated the field beforehand, but that's fine. Needs 75 horsepower to run, and luckily our farm wall is 80, so that's perfect. It's only 2.5 metres wide, so yes, back to basics, back to small equipment. But bonus is, it's $10,000, so a good price to start out. Let's buy it. And I can tell straight away that these two are going to get on well. That is the Farmall and the International Harvester Planter. So let's get hitched up. And oh, I'm a little bit off. Now, in actual fact, we did need a drawbar to hook up to this. And there we go, that is successfully attached now, which is good news. Yes, luckily we keep a drawbar as spare up by the distribution centre, because sometimes this old Farmall needs some extra bits to hook up. Nothing quite like meandering through the forest with your newest piece of equipment. Right, we'll head over to the seed and fertiliser station so we can get that topped up, open up the cover, and oh yes, very nice, opening up both the main tub and the rear tubs. Let's get this filled with seed, and I think we want to probably change that to sugar beets, because I think we're going to start with field number 3, which will actually be corn, not sugar beets. And if we head on over here, we can get filled with fertiliser. So let's switch that over to corn. Yes, quite right. And you close up again. Fantastic. Now, unfortunately, we do need to manure spread before we get started with the planting. So we'll park here, shut down for now, hop into the International Harvester, get the manure spreader that is already at the dovecote from last time, and we can get the manure very quickly spread because we want to get on with planting. Quick couple of mistake sprinkles over here because of some small patches that I missed on my last full row. I shouldn't have gone down the middle. Should have kept to the width of the spreader, but not to worry, can easily just flicker a little bit of manure on there to tidy up those bits. Fantastic. Right, that's the 2 fields manure spread, 3 and 4. We'll park the manure spreader back up by the dovecote because we will need it hopefully for field, well, Burr Field and Stone End Field. And yes, we hopefully can get on to doing some more work for them later today, but it's all time dependent and really does depend upon how we get on with planting. I'm not going to overpromise this time like I did last month. Right, that is full, and in fact we can park up the International Harvester there. and it's on to planting now, which is good news. So yes, we are going to do corn in field 3 and sugar beets in field 4. So let's switch this planter on and we can head on in, and it'll be interesting to see how much seed and fertilizer it goes through. And we are only 2.5 meters wide, so yes, it's going to take us quite a while to plant this, but not to worry, we have got plenty of time. We'll start off slow and can speed up as we get used to it. Yes, corn going in here, and I'm thinking that these two fields really are candidates to merge into one, because it would make life a little bit easier and enable us to progress the equipment with regards to planting and other stuff even bigger. And of course we have a bigger plough, we've got a fairly big cultivator and a big tractor now, so yes, we should be enlarging our fields where possible. And there's also potential to merge Burfield and Stone End Field, so yep, that's some future potential there. But yep, we're planting corn, so we're going to get this done and then we'll be moving on to sugar beets. Raising up and turning off, and that is the corn all planted. Just drive through the bush here so we can get out of the field. I did quite a bit of driving over where we'd planted already, so want to limit how much I'm driving in the field from now on. But there we go, corn all in, and we used more fertilizer than we did seed. So yeah, we've pretty efficient on the seed there, but we would have been applying the secondary level of fertilizer on top of the manure whilst planting, which is good because that field will only need herbiciding or weeding to remove the weeds once the corn has germinated. But yeah, other than that, that field is good to go. But yeah, we want to probably give a nice top up to the planter so we're keeping it adequately filled. Seed and fert in there now, so we can close up the covers and switch to sugar beets, which is the next field, field 4. Now it's beets in field 4 because field 4 is slightly smaller, and it's also got a bit more space around it, which is going to help for the manoeuvring, so that is good. Now I think I'm going to try something a little bit different here. I'm going to try and plant the rows first and then finish up with the headland, just because that is probably a little bit of a better way to go in my opinion, and probably in others' opinions as well. and it does mean that we are going to not be driving over what we've already planted when we reach the end of each row. But yes, before we begin, I am just going to take a quick look at field number 3 and see how it's looking. So crop type corn is in there, which is good news, and we can see that it is in the first stage of growth. Fantastic. And it's up to secondary level fertilizer. Superb. So that's pretty good. We won't need to touch that until it's needing some weeding, but then once that's done, it's good until harvest time. Right, on with the sugar beets now, so we can start up the planter, lower away, and I'm going to be trying to follow the lines as they are on the field from the previous crop. So leave this with me, I'll do the rows and then move on to the headland. Okay, I think that is most of the headland done. I seem to recall there being a little patch up here that we need to resolve, but we can just nip in here, lower away, and reconnect this bit down here. I'm not too worried about the edges, but any spots in the middle we want to be sorting out, and there is another one over here which we can quickly nip into C2. And there we go. Right, let's just sneakily reverse out of here, and that is job done. Sugar beets all drilled, or planted I should say, and I think we actually used probably about the same level of fertilizer, but we used much less seed. I don't know if that's because the field is a bit smaller, but yep, that is good news. Right, we need a planter place in order to stash away, and yes, we of course need to turn it off. What is quite nice is on this planter you have a nice spinning wheel on the front there. I'm not sure what that is, whether that's sort of taking in air and it's using air to plant the seeds, or if that's some sort of device that's churning the central box that has the seed in it, so they are getting distributed to each node of the planter. It is quite interesting to see that in motion. But let's find a place for it to park. I think we'll put the planter in here, in the workshop, in case we need to do any tinkering with the nozzles and so forth. So we can drop that off there. Fantastic. And I was talking about a yard reorganization previously, and I think that with that in mind, we'll probably keep this section of the homestead for older pieces of equipment and smaller pieces of equipment, and then the other side we'll reserve for the larger pieces of equipment. But yes, I'm hoping that at some stage we might be able to donate some of our equipment to another farm. Been chatting to some of the settlers, and they've spoken about potentially setting up a couple of small fields or something like that over the way, and we can help them get set up. But that is just all talk and ideas for now over a couple of beverages. So yeah, we will see what happens to that in reality. Right, we want to grab the International and the manure spreader, because we're probably going to be moving on to Burfield and Stone Enfield. But we can see that field number 4 has got our sugar beets in, and it is in the first stage growth, and it's double fertilised, one from the manure and one from the planter, which had solid fertiliser in. So much like field 4, apart from having to deal with the weeds, that is good until harvest time. Back in the International, and we can head over to Burfield first of all, and then on to Stone Enfield. In fact, maybe we'll start the other way around, because Stone Enfield is the larger and the further away. So I'm going to look to get both of these manure spread. And I'm just looking at the indicators on the International. Looks like we do need probably a bit of a service and definitely a fuel up. That is for sure. And I'm thinking, now that the homestead is a bit bigger, potentially we might get a fuel tank to store fuel over here of our own. Right, okay, so it looks like there's a couple of weeds in here. That's not a problem. We can get stuck in a manure spread, and when we drill, those weeds should get cleared out. Now I'm thinking we might use a single drill for Burfield and potentially a double drill for Stone Enfield. We will see how we get on. But I'm going to get both of these manure spread, and I'll see you when we have done the muck chucking. And I think that is the muck all chucked in both fields, Stone End Field and Burr Field. Now, to me, it really does make sense that we connect these two fields up, because there's just that line of trees there, and if we just plough that little section, we will have two fields joined up together. But we will keep it named Burr Field if we do, just in honour to Tim Burr, who obviously used to be on the homestead but sadly is not any longer. And it's a shame that he isn't, because to be honest, I think with the amount of work that there is on the homestead now, it would have been very useful to have Tim, but perhaps we can call on some of our other settlers to help us out. But yes, I'm thinking for the future to merge Stone End Field and Burr Field, but to let me know your thoughts, because there are some advantages to keeping them separate. We can obviously have two separate crops in there of smaller field yields, and that can benefit our animals sometimes by having a mixture of fruits in the fields. But that is all the manure spreading done, thank goodness. I was starting to lose my mind towards the end there. I was just chucking muck left, right and centre, and once you've done the job quite a number of times, it does become a little bit repetitive. But we'll get the manure spreader parked up, and then we can just check on a few things. That's dropped off now, and I think we probably want to go and service the International, and to be honest with you, it looks like it could do with a wash as well. We can park this in here, right where our little workshop is, switch it off and give it a little bit of a tinker service. There we go, that is serviced now, and I've topped it up with fuel as well on what scraps we had left in this little garage. But we'll give it a much needed wash as well. So there we go, that is washed, if you can believe it. I thought that there was lime spattered on here, but it looks like all of our paint has started to chip away. So to be honest with you, I think that's not really acceptable. The International Harvester does a grand job on the homestead, and I think it needs to look better than it currently does. So I think we're going to give it a repaint, and I haven't got any paint in here, so I'm going to have to go over to the other workshop and see what we can find and get it up to standard. Right, there's some paint in here, so I'm just going to pull in and we can get doing some painting. Now, I don't mean to boast, but I think that is looking very good indeed. We've given it a spray paint and put a couple of decals on where they were missing. Had some spares in some of the boxes back here, which is very, very good. And I think that is now befitting a tractor that belongs on the homestead. It is a bit of a workhorse, so obviously the paint does get chipped away and worn away over time, but that has brought it back up to some good standard now. Fantastic. Now I'm going to go grab the farm all, but on my way I just wanted to report that we have recommenced the growth of corn in the open garden, and the main reason for that is our pigs are going through it like absolute madness. So we're not going to grow and harvest corn in enough time to be able to give it to the pigs, so I've had to utilise the open garden to source some primary food for our pigs. Here is the farm all. Still glistening, to be honest with you. This has had a hard time on the homestead, but still has managed to keep its rather nice classic look, thankfully. But we'll get this parked up. Super duper. Okay, so we're out of time for today, so we're not going to get to drill Stone End Field and Burr Field, but let's talk some plans. So it's April now, which means next time it's going to be May, which does limit us in terms of crops we can put in Stone End Field and Burr Field. But we can see that sorghum is drillable in May, and it's got a nice short growth window, so we'll be harvesting it in probably September. So I'm thinking that we're going to put sorghum in both fields, because that can then be used by the chickens and the horses. as well as the oats that we are growing in Newfield. So yes, in Burfield and in Stoneendfield, we will look to drill sorghum, but potentially we can also join the two fields together in readiness for that drilling. Let me know your thoughts. But it's time to end another day on the homestead. It's been a busy one, sourcing our new planter and getting corn and sugar beets all nicely put in the ground. And we also prepped Burfield and Stoneendfield in readiness for crops we're going to drill next month. But that is it for today. I hope you have enjoyed watching. If you have, remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you've got any tips, tricks, or things you'd like me to do, then feel free to leave a comment. But all there's left to say is, I hope to see you again next time on the Frontier Farmer. And until then, I'll catch you later. Cheers all. Bye bye.